Psylocke is one of the most popular heroes in Marvel Rivals due to her very fun and rewarding gameplay. She's not the easiest hero to pick up as a beginner, but in return her DPS potential can be insanely high. In this video we will discuss everything about her skill combos and some general tips. Her playstyle is mainly focused on breaking into the enemy backline and assassinate high value targets such as healers and DPS. In contrast of that, her DPS is so high that she can also nuke enemy tanks as well if they are out of position. As for her abilities, there are some details that you might wanna know if you are planning making her your main. Her normal attack will fire 4 bullets twice and each of them will deal 12 damage, 48 damage per shot, 96 damage per click. The damage fall off begin at 50 meters and decreasing to 60% at 30 meters. Also, her normal attacks can critically hit for 150% of their normal damage if you are landing headshots. Finally, each bullet will reduce your ability cooldown by 0.25 seconds, meaning you get 1 second cooldown for a full shot and 2 seconds cooldown per click. Her first ability, Wind Shuriken, will fire 5 projectiles that deal 8 damage each. On recast, those 5 projectiles will first travel at your aim location and then they will return back to you, dealing an additional 14 damage per bullet to all enemies they find in their way. Its damage fall off starting again at 15 meters and decreasing to 80% at 25 meters. Once again, this indicates that we're supposed to play at close quarters. Additionally, each projectile landing on an enemy will increase your HP by 10 for a maximum of 75. Her second ability, Psyblade Dash, is a forward dashing ability that can also be used vertically to climb at any surface. It has 2 charges with 8 second cooldown each, and it will also deal 50 damage to any enemy you pass through. Casting this ability will also return your Wing Shurikens back to you. Only now, instead of traveling at your aim location first, they are traveling at the location you were standing before you used Dash. For example, here I'm leaving Wing Shurikens next to this dummy and they will hit it because they will first travel where I'm standing right now. Her third ability will grant her visibility for 3 seconds, plus a 50% movement speed, and has 15 seconds cooldown. If the enemies land hits on you while you are invisible, you will become briefly visible to them. And lastly, we have her ultimate ability, Dance of the Butterfly. This ability will slash any enemy in 10 meter radius for the next 4 seconds. Each slash will do 150 damage and she will do 2 slashes per second, for a total 8 slashes. The priority at which she will slash next is based on who has been hit the least. Psylocke is vulnerable while casting her ultimate and can be interrupted or killed before starting her dance. To avoid that, there is a certain combo that you can use, but let's start from the beginning. The most basic combo that you will use is to apply Wind Shurikens between normal attacks. You can either use it for maximum DPS once every 2 normal shots to eliminate completely the interval time between shots, or simply by holding down your normal attacks and double tap it as soon as your first or second hit go away. Either way, there is no reason for you to release the normal attack button, you can just spam shurikens and they will overlap normal attacks. Next in line is your dashing ability. As I mentioned, your dashes will deal 50 damage to every enemy you pass through. It might be a small number, but you will be surprised how often you will use it to eliminate your targets. The next combo will be available to you if you are having magic on your team. Magic will unlock Psylocke's team up ability, enabling her to rewind time, returning back to where she was 5 seconds ago and restore 50% of the HP she lost in those 5 seconds, as a temporal shield. With this extra skill, you will be able to close up at your opponents with invisibility for an assassination attempt and return back where you began if the things go south with a 30 seconds cooldown. As for your invisibility, if you don't have Psylocke's team up ability, it is up to you to decide if you want to use it to sneak up at your opponents or if you want to use it to escape after a successful assassination. A great tip, however, that will help you land your ultimate without getting killed or interrupted is to first use a vertical dash plus invisibility and use it mid-air. This way you will make it much harder for your enemies to hit you. Your job as an assassin is to flank enemy healers or the ranged DPS, means you are not there to tank fights or going in first. You have to choose your fights and try to land a precise combo while the enemies are distracted by something else. Killing the enemy healer will be much more profitable for your team than spread some damage at your opponents from afar and even risk to get one shot from ranged DPS. That said, there will be times that you can poke your enemies from the flanks, and it will also help you gather your ultimate faster. But in general, you want to remain hidden and strike when it matters. Your double dash and stealth will provide you with a great escape even after a failed assassination attempt, and if you manage to lure more than 2 opponents away from the objective to chase you, it will also be a good play for your team. I will mention once again that your damage output can be insanely high and you are able to burst down tanks as well, especially if you are aiming for their heads. In general, you should not be afraid to duel anyone in a 1 versus 1 scenario. While dueling, using your dashes offensively to deal damage and confuse your opponents is something that not lots of heroes can do in Marvel Rivals, so you should take advantage of that as well. And finally, you should try to keep your ultimate for important objective moments, since it will drive everyone away. Try to avoid using it while the enemy healers have their cooldowns ready, since most of the times they will counter you completely. And that's pretty much it for the Psylocke Beginner's Guide for Marvel Rivals. If you like this kind of video, leave a like and some positive feedback, subscribe for more relevant content, and see you on the next video.